Hello there, my name is Luciano Oliveira. I am a Brazilian attorney, also licensed in California and Texas. And today I'm going to answer this question. If the deceased had debt, how will the creditor claims be handled in the scope of a probate? So let's start by talking what a probate is. A probate in Brazil is called inventário, and this is the process by which the judge usually will try to identify the assets, the heirs, potentially creditors, and then at the end of the process, distributed assets as long as the debt is fully paid. So, as you may imagine, if the distribution is going to occur after debt is paid, that naturally is going to have a priority over the distribution of assets. And within this debt, some debt is going to show up automatically. For instance, unpaid taxes. If the deceased had, like for instance, federal taxes and other debt easy to identify by the judge, particularly those debts related to the public entities at the municipal level, state level, and federal level, these are going to be the easy ones. However, there are also other types of debts, particularly debt when it's related to a private party. So let's assume there was a loan by a friend to the deceased. This is a private debt that the court is not going to be able to tell unless the creditor shows up at the probate. And of course, there is a specific procedure for the creditor to show up and present the debt, so the court may take that into consideration during the probate. Another way that debt may show up at the court is when the creditors files for a protesto. A protesto is a Brazilian legal device by which the creditor gives notice to the public that the debtor is in default. Now, interesting to note, there is no such a thing as a negative inheritance. This is a common concern. Some potential heirs, they are going to come to us and say, listen, I don't know exactly how, my father or my mother financials were. What if they had more debt than assets? Am I going to be on the hook to pay for the debt? And the answer is no. There is no such a thing as a negative inheritance or the inheritance of debt. If the debt exceeds the assets, then naturally there's going to be a zero distribution, meaning that a judge is going to order for whatever assets are found to be sold, and all the proceeds, they are going to go to the debt, and of course satisfy the creditor's claims. But if the assets are enough to pay the debt, and then there is a positive balance, only the positive balance is going to be distributed among the heirs. All right, let's talk now about some of the questions we hear from foreign citizens in the scope of a probate in Brazil. A common one is going to go like this. Listen, the probate manager, who happens to be one of the local Brazilian heirs, is saying there is just too much debt and that I'm not going to get anything at the end of this. How can I tell if this person is saying, truth? And usually, if you have access to the probate, let's say the probate number, case number, you could have potentially a different lawyer checking on the files and telling you what's going on. The point is, the Brazilian heirs, the locals, or the probate manager for that matter, they are not going to be able to get clean title to the assets unless the assets are presented to the probate. And therefore, if you have access to the probate files, chances are you're going to be able to tell what the assets are, and you're also going to be able to tell if a debt is being presented to the court. And at the end of the process, at the end of the probate, there's going to be a document saying very clearly what's going to be the remaining assets after paying the debt, and to which heirs those assets are going to go, and the proportion or the shares of each of the heirs. Also important to note, some of the debt may not really qualify as a debt, particularly debt between the deceased and heirs may be disputed, and some of these transactions, they may be considered voided by the judge, particularly if they would reduce the share of foreign citizen heirs or even other Brazilian heirs for that matter. I hope these tips were helpful. Follow us for more tips, and I see you in our next video.